because you may not get this chance again.
I would cut probably like 90% of Ithaca.
Welcome to The Pestle, reviewing and breaking down movies to look for insights into the movie-making process. Hosted by Family Photographs, establishing parental dominance since 1841. Now, let's dim the lights and say cheese.
Welcome everybody to The Pestle. Today's show is brought to you by Two Brothers.
Watch two brothers face a tornado, giant cat monsters, and all sorts of things. In theaters now, see Two Brothers coming this summer. Welcome everyone to The Pestle. I am Wes.
And I am Todd.
And we are filmmakers. We like to review films and see what we can learn about the filmmaking process. And I don't know, just enjoy it. Spread the love of film with everyone else who enjoys film. Not everyone does. A lot of people just watch TV, just like reality shows. Totally fine. You do you. As for me and my house, we will follow the film.
Perfect.
So what are we covering today, man? I'm excited to dive into this journey.
Yeah, I mean it's been a long journey since we've heard that this was coming out. We are covering the Odyssey, which has just come out the weekend that we are recording this. So if you haven't seen the film yet, please pause this episode and go watch it, because we're going to spoil a bunch of things, even if you know the story.
Yep, absolutely. We'll dive into some of the story and writing, talk about Zeus's law and other such stuff and things and stuff.
And a quick I don't know how you do this, but quick synopsis of the story. After the Trojan War, Odysseus faces a dangerous voyage back to Ithaca, meeting creatures like the Cyclops, Polyphemus, Sirens, and Calypso along the way. It's directed by Christopher Nolan, screenplay by Christopher Nolan, based on Homer's Odyssey, cinematography by Hoyt van Hoytema, featuring Matt Damon as Odysseus, Tom Holland as Telemachus, Anne Hathaway as Penelope, John Leguizamo as Emmaus, Robert Pattinson as Antonius, Antinous.
Yeah,
I can't remember how they pronounced it. Antinous, Elliot Page as Sinon, Himesh Patel as Eurylocus.
Yeah.
I had this when I was reading it earlier, but now I don't have it. Samantha Morton as Circe, Charlize Theron as Calypso, Zendaya as Athena, and John Bernthal as Menelaus.
Nice.
Terrible.
So they don't make it easy, those Greeks.
I got one job. You have one job, Todd.
Dude, yeah, so it has been a long journey. This has been a very exciting, the moment the biggest filmmaker in the world. I mean, I don't think there is a close second, like maybe Denis, right? As far as current working directors go, I don't think there is a bigger director, and I don't know if there's many bigger stories. This, to me, I really think this is the biggest story that anyone could possibly tell. As far as historically, like you can always invent something bigger, but going back thousands of years, I don't know that you're going to find a bigger story than this. And so those two worlds colliding, very exciting to look forward to it. And of course to show up and actually get to sit through it, credits roll and what happens for you. Does this live up to all that hype and expectation? What was your experience in theater?
So, yeah. So I saw it in IMAX, and you have all of these expectations going into seeing a Nolan film, right? Especially something like this, which has been built up for a year plus, and I think I was jarred and I was pleasantly surprised at the same time, and it took me a while to kind of like figure out stuff. So, for those of you who know the story of the Odyssey, there are liberties that were taken that, like, if you're going in looking for a one-to-one story, you're not going to get it. I mean, you're going to get a lot of it, but it's kind of like adapting a book where it's great on a page, but seeing it on a screen is a little bit different. And so liberties were taken, and even liberties that didn't need to be taken were taken. I love that they made, gosh. Okay. This is,
Yep. Here we go.
okay. Here we go.
Menelaus.
No, the woman, oh God, not Athena, but, John Bernthal's wife. It turns out.
Oh,
who was
Clytemnestra.
Agamemnon's wife.
Helen.
Thank you. God dang it. I can't remember. I'm terrible with names. So, you're terrible with faces. I'm terrible with names together. We know nothing. I love that he made Helen black. Love it. He's getting a lot of shit for it for whatever stupid reason. Yeah. He's getting a lot of shit.
I've been entirely unplugged from the conversation around this movie. I have absolutely no idea what people are griping or loving or whatever.
Well, I'll tell you a few things. So he's getting shit for making Helen black. He's getting shit for having them speak in like American tongue, right? Like they all have American accents, by the way, and they don't. And like Tom Holland, like Telemachus says things like "dad," my dad is blah blah blah. But like 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years, they would say my father or something like that. And so that for me was a little bit jarring. But I was like, okay, this is the world we're in. I mean, even, British people or British actors were speaking in American accents, like Telemachus, Tom Holland, and Robert Pattinson were, they're obviously British and they're speaking in American accents. But this is the world, right? He's giving us this world. Whatever. He's a filmmaker, man. He makes decisions and choices, and this is the world we're living in. Get used to it, kind of thing. Like in Interstellar, we live in a world where there is a wormhole that exists that doesn't exist now, but he's put us in this world, or where there's blight, it's not, so he's taken liberties, right? I love also that Elliot Page plays Sinon, plays a man in a film. I love that. And he was getting some shit about that too. That just, the most vile, stupid people are giving him shit about the most, mundane things, right? So that's all I'll say about that. Those are so the biggest thing that was like I had to get used to was the American accent thing. But then I got used to it, and it just was what it was. I settled in and I was like, okay, this is where we are. We're living in this world. In terms of like the execution of this, I was going into this thinking, I'm driving to the theater and I'm thinking, how do you do this? How do you make this story on a screen? It's just, it's so much. Anyway, so, I was just kind of like, whatever happens, it happens. And afterwards, I'll just skip afterwards. I talked to my wife. She studied, literature her whole life. And she has a PhD in it. And you want to know about the Odyssey or the Iliad or whatever, she's the one who'll tell you everything about it. And so she didn't see it with me, but I came home and told her all about it. And she was asking me questions. She was like, did this happen, that happened, or whatever? So the other biggest liberty that he took was that he made Odysseus more of a hero than he actually was.
Absolutely.
In the story, he is not a hero. He is he is a warmonger guy, kills a lot of people. He knows his men are going to die. He does things anyway. In this movie, he's not like that. And then at the end, he does have this moment towards the end where he sits down with Penelope, or next to Penelope. She doesn't know it's him, and he talks to her. But in this movie, it's more about him realizing, explaining his moment in Troy when he realized, we're all breaking Zeus's law or whatever. There was no Zeus's law in the story.
I did.
They made that up
but
too.
I couldn't remember. Okay.
Yeah. He made that up too. But also you're taking a thousands of year old story and you're putting it in 2026. If he were to tell the Odyssey in 2026, the original Odyssey in 2026, it would not, like, we would probably not like it. You're not going to you have a hero who's not a hero, right? do things that are not heroic, that are heroic, like selfishly heroic, but not heroic in terms of what we think is heroic in 2026. So, and then he gives more power to women than they actually have. Like Helen, was not Menelaus's, didn't go with Menelaus after Agamemnon. She just disappears. Like she's gone. Agamemnon does sacrifice their daughter, and obviously she's upset about that. But after Troy, she's just gone. But in this story, they give her more of a voice. She speaks back to Menelaus. Like we see that she's deformed, or whatever, and we see that that Telemachus like has a moment with her, or whatever, but that never actually happens. Also, Odysseus never saves Telemachus. When he goes to the place after seeing Menelaus, and Odysseus actually saves him from all those guys, that doesn't actually happen. So there's a lot that doesn't happen, but I love the liberties that he took. And I think that they brought this story into a modern day IMAX theater and gave me an amazing experience that I can't imagine having any. It would be very hard to top that for me. Also, holy crap, the music, and the sound. I mean, I watched this in IMAX, so the whole fucking room was shaking. And when something dynamic happened and you had this low end, my chair was just shaking. It was amazing. It was like I was in the story. It was so good. And I wasn't too close, but I wasn't far away, and I was right in the middle. It was just like the sweet spot, where you're supposed to sit. And it was incredible. Also, the locations were, my favorite location, to be honest, was the one where he goes and sees all of the dead.
Hades. Yeah.
Hey, is that Hades? Yeah.
Same.
I was blown away. It's just nothing but a sea of black, and then you have that dividing line in the horizon, and where you see the ground ends and the sky begins. It's just nothing, and then they just come up out of the ground. And I'm so glad that he had another moment with Sinon, and he had another moment to be on screen to deliver this monologue, and that I thought that was fantastic. He did a great job. And then the Cyclops, holy cow. Cyclops was brutal, dude. When he bit off that guy's head, I really felt it. Like I felt like that was really happening. He was shaking, whatever, and it was all slow motion. He was moving real slow.
And the second guy, he's like digging in with both hands.
Yeah, just like, oh God, it's like, what is happening? Also, the pigs with Calypso, or not Calypso, with Circe was brutal. And then my other favorite was the giants. Oh, she told me what they were called. She told me what they were called, and there's like a weird, awesome name. Yeah. They have an awesome name. I forget, but that scene was just so cool. Them coming out of the mist. I also noticed, and I'll say this and I'll stop. I also noticed that in their editing, you can tell that they pulled the best performance rather than the best shot performance. Sure. There are a lot of moments where they don't pull focus correctly, where they miss focus for a while, and you're like, waiting for them to get it, and some of it is with Anne Hathaway, with Penelope, when she's speaking to Telemachus, and she'll lean in, and they lose focus and they get it back or whatever, and you can tell she's just acting her ass off. But this is my favorite performance of hers ever. I've seen her in a lot of stuff, and I think that she's an incredible actor, but I love the power that the script gave her, and the power that she exuded. She's obviously not the king or queen. She's the queen, but she has no power, right? But she's there, yelling at Telemachus and yelling at all of the suitors, and she's like, yes, she is at the whim of rules. She has to weave her thing, whatever. But he gives her the script gives her more power. Like, I don't think this happened in the story, but when Eumaeus comes and talks to her, Antonius, Robert Pattinson, comes to talk to her and tells her, I know that you've been unweaving this, whatever. I don't think that happens. I think that Jenny said that doesn't happen, but she does. But it's a good way for the script to tell us that she's unweaving it, and that's why it's taking so long, right?
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, I love her performance. I thought it was like super strong and amazing. So it was an incredible experience. It was great. They gave me a poster at the IMAX. So I got a poster. I don't know if you did too. I don't know if you saw it on Thursday or whatever, but did you see, what about you? Okay, let's switch over to you, because I have no idea what you're going to say here. And it could either be like one of his best or one of his worst. I have no idea. But yeah, did you see it in IMAX?
I didn't see it in IMAX. It was sold out. I do have a buddy I was with last night bought like 10 tickets for the showing in a couple weeks. And so I'm going to go see it in IMAX then. But my first showing, I did get to see it in 70 millimeter, which was nice. And it was beautiful. I will say I don't know that it was the best audience. Like the guy next to me, I was at the draft house and you get to order like food and drinks. And I don't think he ordered like food or drinks. I think he just ordered like cups of ice. I was like, hey, can I get some more ice over here?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that bad, but for the first hour and a half, every once in a while he'd reach over and chew ice, which was fine. Like that's why I order popcorn, so I can like chew and block out some of the noise around me. But the thing that he really did that I was just like, hold on, what? Who does this? Towards the end of the movie, the last hour, like I was eating some like chicken tenders, and the smell hits me, and it's like minty, nauseating smell. And I look over, and he's got like a can of dip out. He's about to like take a big chunk, and I'm like,
he brought in dip,
and I look, and I'm like, please don't. And he looks over, he's like, what? Please don't. And he said, okay. I mean, he was chill about not being an asshole, but it was such a weird move to do in the first place. I'm like, you're not just in a theater, but in a packed out theater. You think people are you this like dead in your senses that you think no one can smell this? Like, that's insane. Anyway, the experience.
That was cool of him not to be a jerk.
Yeah. On top
when you asked him not to, and then he said, okay, that's pretty cool.
That at a minimum was like, okay, nice. So it was kind of the experience itself, kind of hit or miss, but beautiful. I mean, God, the footage is just unreal. The movie, I was mixed feelings. Like, this is absolutely epic. And so the visual treat that you're getting out of this, that I got out of it, was amazing. Like those moments you're calling out, the Island of Giants, that was just cool. Like, you feel at no point watching that sequence do you think, oh, I know how he did this trick, right?
No, exactly.
Like he's got these monsters running around on the island.
It's like if Gandalf decided to run amok, like if like 30 Gandalfs came out of the woods, like whoa, what are you, giant,
freaking amazing. Like, yeah, I mean, there were so many sequences that are just cool. I was most excited about Charybdis and Scylla, because I was like, how is he going to show Scylla? And seeing that was pretty satisfying. I think I wanted more, to be honest. I could have.
Sorry, which one is Scylla?
That's the monster that grabs guys off the ship.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, cool.
So
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, Charybdis is the whirlpool. And yeah, so I was very, very excited. I mean, I was excited about a lot of those moments, like the Sirens. I was super juiced up to see, and then Cyclops, of course. I had forgotten about the Island of Giants. So when that moment came, it was like one of those, oh crap, I forgot. I was excited about Circe. To me, that might have been the coolest sequence, was watching her transform those guys into sheep or pigs. Like, that was just so like visceral. That sent me, man. I was like, what is happening? That was genius, just that approach. And Hades was genius. I didn't know how he's going to show that. And so when we get to it, it just suddenly feels obvious. Like he has this thing that he does where he's going to give you a really huge idea and do it in this very grounded, simple way that is only obvious in hindsight. Because I'm like, I have no idea how I would show Hades. I feel like I would have to build out an actual underworld. He's just like, no, it's a land. And what's so smart about that is that's what's so interesting about Greek mythology is whenever you're reading about these gods and these islands, these are physical places. These are actual physical places that any Greek could go stand on. They could go to Mount Olympus, and you can, go to the ocean. The Akari Sea is a real sea. And so that was the interesting, that to me is the most fascinating aspect of Greek mythology. This was revealed to me in Edith Hamilton's book of mythology. And she's pointing out that, this is an amazing aspect of their system of mythology is so different from like Christian mythology, right? We can't go see heaven. There's no, if you go to, West Texas, that's where heaven actually is, and you can go visit it. It doesn't exist. These are like places that are just in our mind. Whereas in Greek mythology, everything they're describing, Charybdis and Scylla, those are actual specific places off the islands that you can go to. And so whenever you're listening and learning as a, ancient Greek, I assume, like you're hearing about these things and you're like, oh, I got to make sure I avoid that passage, or if I want to go see Apollo's bulls, I have to go find it in this narrow whatever. Like if I want to go to Mount Olympus, maybe I'll see the gods. And it creates, or it breaks down a barrier between you and your mythology in a way that feels so much more personal and intimate, and therefore real, to everyone, as opposed to what we do, nowadays. Now we just kind of laugh at the idea of, and that becomes a bit of a punchline, like, for probably religious and non-religious alike. Like there's a reason no one still worships Zeus, right? And it's like, it's not real. And that whole line of thought, but for them in this time, like it's so cool. The idea that he made Hades this actual physical place, like, oh, it's just another plot of land that is just hard to get to or exacts a toll if you do go there. And so I loved his whole approach to that. There's so much I love. I love the framing of his story, of Odysseus' story, being set with Calypso and how she's made him forget and he's slowly remembering. And that gives you two things. It gives you like a really great excuse to kind of cut out any of the tedium of moving between islands or moving between big beats. It allows him to do what he's so good at, non-linear storytelling. And so suddenly, in halfway through the story, now we get to see the fall of Troy. That's cool. And then the other smart thing about it is it keeps him in real time with Telemachus and what's happening on Ithaca. And so now we can see this is real time over there. This is real time over here. And as soon as he's back up to date and ready to leave, we no longer need to guess about, well, is now, because of that whole, we're framing this from the point of view of him remembering and telling his story to Calypso. We never feel disjointed whenever he finally goes to join Ithaca. It just feels obvious, like, oh, kind of like Memento, this is now, we're now in now. And so his classic nonlinear storytelling style, does pay some dividends. So anyway, those are some of the fun aspects. And for me, I really enjoy Greek mythology. I'm not good at it. I'm not going to sit here and pass myself off as an expert. I'm really not. And so hearing you, I would love to hear more about what Jenny has to say after she watches it, to hear her take, because I kept trying to remember. It's like, I don't remember anything about Zeus's law in the Odyssey, but I also struggle to read epic poems. Like I read a year or two ago, I read the Iliad, which is my favorite. I personally like the Iliad more, but it was impossible for me to follow. Like I'm reading it and I'm reading like the best, loosest translation I can find. And I'm still struggling to be like, what's happening right now? and so it's a struggle. And so hearing someone like her talk about it is like such a treat. But all that said, there was so many things that I struggled with in this movie. The first one, I think, is just the performances. Virtually all the performances were flat. Like, I just didn't think anyone was delivering good juice. Matt Damon, this is the worst I've ever seen Matt Damon, no question. There was no musicality. And this was like 90% of the performances. I think the only performance that was start to stop great was John Leguizamo, which is so funny because you and I last week, before recording our episode, I was talking about John Leguizamo and how much I love that guy. And every time he's on screen, I'm like, God, that guy is just so good. And then I had no idea he was going to be in this. Suddenly I'm like, oh, I get a John Leguizamo movie. So I was so excited to see him on screen.
Yeah.
And I thought he was wonderful. I thought he I thought he murdered everyone. Like, he was just so much better than everyone else on screen. And whenever I see that happening, whenever I see Matt Damon and Anne Hathaway, I thought was good in points. I thought she was uneven. But whenever I see that, when I see just wildly talented actors, all struggling in my estimation, I see it as a directing issue. And maybe that's either on the writing side or something he's doing on the day. I think part of that does go to the dialogue that you were talking about earlier, because that felt all over the place. I don't think that's the right call. I'm fine with it being like an American accent. I don't think that jarred me at all. It was more of the word choices. And sometimes it felt period appropriate, like a little formal and a little archaic, but not so much that we ever get lost, of course. And I thought at points it was writing a nice line. And then at other points it was just too casual and modern. Like there's that line from Sinon where she says, feel free to add some stuff. And I'm like, that feels so disjointed in the story you're telling that I'm beginning to think he also needs, I've said this about a couple other writer-directors, but I think he might need a co-writer too. I don't know if that needs to be Jonathan Nolan, but someone that will just come along and say, okay, we need to button up a few things. We can delete and edit down some things because I think on the writing side, some of these scenes were just probably too long. Like there's a point that he's getting at in some of these scenes, and they just need to be shorter and more to the point. Like some of those exchanges early on, especially between Telemachus and Penelope, it's just belabored. It's too much exposition. It's too exposition heavy where you don't necessarily need it. I think he was keenly aware he was making a tentpole film and he didn't want to lose anyone. And I think in my estimation, he didn't ride the line very well. I think you can trust the audience a little bit more. I don't think you need to remove all exposition. All films are going to have exposition dumps at one point or another. That's part and parcel. I just think he had too many, too often, in place of seeing some of those things acted out. Like there's that line early on whenever they're leaving Troy, and I never knew his name. I'm glad you got it out. I just kept thinking Himesh Patel when I love that guy. I think he's so good, and I was so happy to see him in this movie. Eurylochus. Let's do that. Why not? Eurylochus. When Eurylochus says to Odysseus, "Do we have enough provisions?" And I mean, it's a good line that Odysseus spits out, which is, "We've taken enough from Troy. Another stop or two won't kill us." Like that's a great oh shit kind of moment. But I think you remove that. What I actually want to see, I think, is the feeling of the necessity to stop. I want to see them struggling on the ship, because after that first stop really goes awry with the Cyclops, I got to think these guys don't want to see landfall. Like I want to feel them forced to make landfall, and seeing them on the ship really struggling would be a completely different approach. And would also remove the necessity for exposition, because now we're seeing it, we're feeling it. And we're like, yeah, you guys are one breath away from like starving, or it hasn't rained. The gods haven't given us rain. Like, we don't have water. We need to find fresh water or something, right? Just anything to make me feel the necessity for these things, instead of just telling us. And a number of times they tell us, we need to stop for provisions. And like, okay. And they're fine. Like, everything's hunky dory. When Circe calls them out as saying, you're clearly starving, I'm like, it might be clear to you. It's not clear to me. And so there's just so many of these kind of moments where, like, same thing with Penelope and Telemachus. Like, I don't know that I want to hear them discuss how people are going to act. I would rather see some of those elements, play out. And to that end, I'm also like, the moments that we do see that play out, it wasn't satisfying to me. It gets very literal, kick the dog villains, where we're watching them hurt Odysseus's dog and Eumaeus. And I'm like, that feels just a little on the nose. I don't know. I have more ideas about how I think this could have been a stronger film that I'll get to, but those are some of the things I was struggling with. And just on the front side of like the performances really pulled me out. I just was not, and this to me is whenever I really start putting on the analytical hat, because I wasn't connecting with anyone. Like, I didn't care that the guys were getting killed. I didn't care that Antinous was plotting something. Obviously, he wanted the throne, but he was, being very, secretive about it. And I mean, even from us, the viewer. And I just like never emotionally cared almost about anything. And for me, that's a red flare. Like, why don't I care? Why am I so like visually inspired, but emotionally just indifferent to this journey? Seeing his men slowly die, I didn't care. And then the one person I was starting to care about, Eurylochus, like whenever he died, it felt so fast that I didn't have a moment to care. And so there was just so much that made me lean back and like, instead of lean forward, like, what is going on? Yeah. So I don't know what your response is to any of that.
Yeah, I can see all that. Great feedback. I align with you in terms of the acting from like Tom Holland and well, I mean,
yeah,
from Tom Holland for sure. I don't know. I thought that Pattinson did a pretty good job. I thought that Matt Damon did a good job too. I'm not saying it was his best performance, but I wasn't taken out of it, but I totally can see where you could be. John Bernthal always like brings it. I felt like
agreed. Okay, yeah, that would be my other big exception is Bernthal. I mean, Lupita Nyong'o is always amazing. She just didn't have much to do, so I think some of the bit characters, I was like, yeah, they're fine. Like they're doing what they do. John Bernthal.
Yeah, I think he was. It's a lot to take on everything that happens in the Odyssey, and I think he was more focused on like all the things happening instead of like connecting more with Eurylochus and the guys on the boat. Like I imagine that movie that you're describing, and I think that could have been better for sure. Like because what was it when he's talking to Calypso at one point, he's looking for his men. She's like, that they're dead, and we don't. We just see them like float off, but we don't know that they're dead. Yeah. He floated off too on the other half of the boat. And, so, and he's just kind of like gone. So I can definitely see like some moments like that. It's not fully fleshed out in terms of like, I want you as an audience connecting with these other people rather than just Odysseus. And it's interesting because he did take liberties.
Mm-hmm. Huge liberties.
Yeah. So like he wanted to tell the story as a whole, but also he took liberties. So, and I think I am a little biased, I'll be honest, just because it's Nolan and I just absolutely love everything he touches. And I love just like, the scale at what he does, and the fact that they shot all of this on IMAX, 2 million feet of IMAX film, and like just like the undertaking of that, was giant. And I love you take these big swings and stuff. And yeah, could it have been better? Yeah, I think you're totally right, and you're hitting on all the points that like I wouldn't necessarily know how to say out loud. But putting those together, like, yeah, I think it could have been better.
I will.
Yeah. So I
jump in. But I will say my favorite aspect of the whole movie was in the writing and was around Zeus's law. Like, I personally just really adored it because it reframes this whole journey in a way that it's not just happening because they've got bad luck. It's a reaction to what they did. It's a consequence for what they did in Troy. And I just love that. To me, and this is my own bias coming out, like, I see this as like an anti-war film. This is the result of not just going to war, but a needless war, and then doing it in a very dishonorable way, was just beautiful. And Zeus's law, I had to look it up. Like, I was like, I've never actually heard, maybe I have and I just forgotten, but I don't remember ever hearing Zeus's law. It feels like another version of the golden rule, right? Doing as you would have them do unto you, but with a little more strings, in a very fun way. And I'm paraphrasing, but Telemachus says something to the effect, Zeus's law says to treat strangers as you would want to be treated, as they might be gods in disguise. And that's a really fun idea. The end part of that, right? They might be gods in disguise, but effectively, from a quick Google, basically, effectively Zeus's law is to be honorable and good to guests, feed them, help them, give them whatever they need, and only ask who they are later. In other words, don't treat someone based on who they are. Treat everyone great. Find out who they are later. And that's a really cool thing. And then for guests, there's rules for the guest as well, which is to be good and kind and honorable yourself, and to be as little burden as possible. Basically, don't take advantage of your host, right? And give them a gift in thanks, or help them in the future if you have nothing to give right now. Like, at some point, return and do something good for them. And that's wonderful. That's a beautiful way to live. So the Trojan horse was a violation, right, of Zeus's law, and the gods cursed their journeys home, like everyone's. And we learn that from Menelaus, which is so cool. And I loved seeing Odysseus wrestle with his sin. That was his idea. And he sees the woman slaughtered in Troy as Athena, as the embodiment of his sin that he carries with him. And that, to me, was the most powerful moment in the whole movie, where that absolutely hit me. And I was like, oh, God.
That was a good revelation, because I was thinking, like, who is Zendaya supposed to be? Like, I just didn't know.
Yeah, they kept saying it's Athena, but we never see her do anything Athena-like. Like, Athena is the goddess of war. And yet she's not doing anything, to help war or even to help Odysseus. So it was really interesting to actually, I don't think she was Athena. I think that was, because we never meet any gods. I think it's just his conscience. And he's calling her Athena as a confirmation of the breaking of Zeus's law, right? It may be a god in disguise. And so for him to see her as a god, is his own, like, conscience cursing him for breaking the law. And I just think that's so cool, because the result is sin has entered the world. This is that whole conversation they're having at the end between Odysseus and Penelope, that they've let sin enter the world now. And no one else, this is the part that I love the most, is no one else honors Zeus's law on their journey home. Every stop is met with what it's like to live in a world where visitors are treated with savagery instead of hospitality. And that's so beautiful and heartbreaking, right? Cyclops, and this is, I think, confirmed with when they stop, and Odysseus, right, is expecting whoever this owner is to honor Zeus's law. And I love that Eurylochus says, I don't know if he's heard of Zeus's law or even of Zeus. Like, look around you right now. This isn't civilization that we're looking at. And so, of course, Cyclops arrives and attacks them, slaughters them, right? We get to the island of giants. They attack on sight, chase them into the sea, away from their land. Circe pretends to welcome them and uses Zeus's law against them, right? Traps them. They go to Apollo's island, and I love that he kills the men for eating his stock. If Apollo was following Zeus's law, he would have welcomed them and fed them his bulls and what he had to offer. But instead, he waits, starves them out until they can't resist, and then he curses them. And Calypso, instead of helping Odysseus, she kind of helps them, and then she traps him too. Like, every stop is a revelation of what it's like to live in a world where visitors are treated harshly instead of welcomed. And I think that's, in today's times, a beautiful thought to be putting out there into the world. And I think that also is probably why he was so comfortable with modernizing the language, was to make people start to see the world that we exist in within this ancient universe. And so I see the genius of it, even as it pulled me away from the story emotionally. And then, of course, the movie only ends when Odysseus goes into exile, banished from home for his sins, right? Odysseus began the film as a man who gave even animals an honorable fight, right? Plucking his bow to alert them to danger. But then he betrayed his honor whenever he did not give an honorable fight to the Trojans, instead trying to end the war and get everyone home. Let's just get this over with. And he lost his honor, and he lost his men. He lost years of his life, and eventually even lost his home, even though he did get his wife back. And so it cost him a lot in doing what he did. And so that, to me, is just such a beautiful writing thought. And me, I'm a sucker for a strong theme that's reflected in the story, not just there for its own sake, but you can see it actually being impacting on what's happening within the world. And I think that's 100% there. What did you, how were you interpreting the whole Zeus's law? Did that have any impact on you?
I mean, I don't know if it had impact on me. I think it was necessary, and it was a really good string throughout to keep everything together, because so much happens, right? But it all goes back to Zeus's law. So yeah, I do like that, and that wasn't part of the original. So it's definitely an add-in. I think it's like I was saying, a good string to hold everything together, right? Because so much happens. Again, I think a lot of what he did was necessary. Like I said at the beginning, Odysseus was actually not a good guy. And Calypso, it's debatable whether or not he actually remembers or not in the actual story. Kind of spends 7 years just hanging out with her. But who wants to see that? Nobody wants to see their hero be like that. So, at least not today. So yeah, while I think my biggest thing, I mentioned, being taken out of it a little bit with the American accents at the beginning, but then I got used to that. Obviously, Hoyt van Hoytema is amazing. He's one of the best. I did feel, and I sang his praises at the beginning because they and the editing, because they took the best performances. But I did feel there were moments where we were really wide for no reason. It would have been nicer if we would have been a little bit more in someone's face or something like that. The perfect shooting, I think, or the perfect scene for me was Circe. I think that was so much needed to happen, and we needed to see so much, but not wide. I think they did a lot of great close-up moments in there or whatever, but there were some moments when Telemachus realizes that it's Odysseus outside of the chamber. We were just too wide for me to feel the impact that Tom Holland was trying to deliver. I don't think it was his best performance, but I don't think that the framing really helped him. in that scenario, which was super important because that was like honestly supposed to be the most emotional moment, or one of them.
Yeah.
And I think that while I did feel it, I did. There were just a few moments like that where I was like, I don't need to feel the grandness of the space. I would like to just be, a little bit more, I don't know, close up on his performance. So while I think that there are things that could be improved, I had an amazing time, 3 hours, just like watching this incredible thing being made. The last thing I'll say, the last thing I have to say really is that I think that Nolan does his best work when he tells new, unique stories. Look at Inception, one of my favorites. Look at Interstellar, my favorite. Hell, even look at Tenet. That is wild. If you watch, and it's his worst critiqued movie. Honestly, out of everything that he's done, it's like the lowest bar. Rotten Tomatoes has got 70%. I was just looking it up. Interstellar was 73%, so Rotten Tomatoes is kind of stupid, honestly. But the story is crazy. Yeah. The story is like super unique, and keeps you watching, because if you don't, you miss something, and then you're like lost. Memento, and yes, stuff like Oppenheimer is amazing. Dunkirk is incredible. But like his actual, this is my idea, I'm taking it from nothing to a finished product. I think that's where he really shines, and why he's the greatest in my book of all time, because he tells unique, brand new stories in a way that nobody else could, and that you feel. So taking an adaptation, Oppenheimer was one thing, because that's kind of more modern. It's more modern. Obviously it was 70 years ago, whatever it was, but like it's more modern day. But taking something that's thousands of years old and putting it into a space where like people have no patience. They have a lot of expectation, not just because of what he is, but because of what movies can give you nowadays, right? And its grandness, right? To take that and do what he did, I think is still awesome. Could it have been improved? Yes. I loved everything that you suggested. I think that would have made it a lot stronger, but I still had an incredible time watching that, and I can't wait to go see it again, to be honest. I want to bring Jenny to go watch it. Simon wants to see it. My son, he's 13. I don't think I don't know. I protect him from a lot of that stuff. And I think some stuff like the Cyclops and the other thing that Nolan does really great is he doesn't show a lot of blood.
True. A guy got
never see blood.
A sword through the throat, and there's no gushing blood. Yeah.
Anyway, so
I will say the last thing that I wanted to touch on is, like, I started thinking about, okay, I have all these issues. What would I think about doing differently? More as an exercise for myself. But these are some of the things I thought restructuring this whole thing would make a lot of sense, in terms of I would cut probably like 90% of Ithaca, and instead let us discover it with Odysseus, because as he's discovering it, that is more and more heartbreaking and along the way, of course, we can be hearing about his expectations and then how they are not met. And so I think it would help us identify more with him. And then that way, I think you still end up with probably a 3-hour movie, but you make this more of a brotherhood pick. This is a movie about the ship and the crew together. And doing that, I think, makes the deaths so much more heartbreaking. And whenever everyone's name, what they've contributed, and they know what they're looking forward to when they get back home, like hearing all those things and what they're fighting for, and then slowly losing them person by person, like, is brutal. And I think restructuring it gives you more time to do that, because the other thing is, I didn't really have any buy-in with Odysseus and Penelope's love. Like, conceptually understood why he wanted to get home, but emotionally I I wasn't connected at all. And if it wasn't for, casting the actors he did, I would have even much less, right? It's, to the extent that it works is like Anne Hathaway, like just killing it, and investing everything in it. Yeah. And because just watching them kind of confess their love to each other before he goes to war it's just not effective, because this movie is so exposition heavy. There's so much just sitting around talking to each other, that it makes it less effective. And the oldest rule, and it can be abused, don't get me wrong, but the oldest rule is, right, show me, don't tell me. And this is so much of tell me, and then show me. Like it's just too separated. The action and exposition are so broken up instead of feeling really tightly knit together. And that's just a simple, I think the more linear you can go, the more you can start to dovetail some of these things together so much stronger. And so I think structurally, it doesn't have to be wildly different in terms of, you can still frame it from Calypso's island, and we can still experience some of that journey, and then cut out, like you said, I don't want to see him sitting in her presence for 7 years. Like, that would be brutal, and probably still ineffective. But framing it from there and then spending more time with the crew and getting to know them, would make a lot more sense to me. And in that way, maybe you only have one ship. Maybe you don't have 3 ships. Maybe it's just one. And then seeing that one ship go from packed to smaller crews, has a much more visceral impact as you feel the quietness start to take over the ship, until there's no one left but Odysseus himself. And then you can feel the heartbreak of the brotherhood being broken, and betrayed by him, to no fault of his own. He's trying to defy the gods. Anyway, yeah, that was where my brain went. I was like, maybe there's a reason Homer did it the way he did it. And there's some impact there that could have been, I don't know, squeezed out, but still, still a epic film. Like, I don't think anyone walks out of this movie having a bad time. I will say that.
Yeah. It's 3,000-year-old storytelling that you're trying to modernize. And I think that your ideas are fantastic. I think earlier you said something about like you just said about revealing Ithaca, and that made me think it would be nice. I like the idea of where we keep going back to Calypso, right? Or and he's got a little bit more memory, and then we go see it, and then he's got a little bit more memory, and we go back and all this stuff. I like that, but I love your point about not seeing so much Ithaca. I don't know. Anytime Tom Holland is on screen, I just was not. He was the worst to me, and he's a good actor, so I don't. I just kind of questioned the casting of him there, but
so it goes.
Yeah, so it goes. I still really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see it again. And watching it on IMAX was like crazy. We haven't really talked about the music, which is just freaking amazing. Yeah. It's just so good. It's so good. What's his name?
Ludwig.
He did Oppenheimer too.
Ludwig
Goransson. Yeah. Oh, gosh, so good. So good. The sound design is fantastic in this movie. And the lighting is beautiful. It's just like but the music, man, godly. I loved it. It's great because there's not like a motif, but at the same time, like I feel the moments because of the music. It's not like Inception or not. Inception or Interstellar, where you're, this is a familiar sound or whatever. None of this is familiar. And I know that he used a lot of old instruments, like thousands of years old, whatever, for this. But anyway, I thought he did a fantastic job. Of course, he's just so good. So good.
That dude is wildly talented. Yeah. And regardless, like, I'm of course excited to see whatever he does next, but I think it goes back to your point. Like, he is strongest when he's just taking swings from his own brain. Like, this is a thought I've had for the last 15 years. I finally figured out how to tackle it. That is appointment setting stuff.
And I sent you something about him saying that he wanted to do a horror film.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be next. I mean, a horror film from his mind, that'd be amazing. Yeah, but I agree with almost everything you're saying, and I think that you have some good solutions there too.
Worth
I wonder if anybody listening would agree.
Yeah. I'm sure it's all over the place based on what you said about some of the discourse. I'm like, oh man, I'm excited now. Maybe not excited, but I'm interested to go take a peek at some of the reviews and see what other people are saying. If there's a strong flow one way or the other of generally, if some of those things you're talking about don't bother people, do they love it? Because what I don't want is people to love it because of those things. Like, love it because it's a good movie, not because you like who he cast for Helen, which is so funny. I don't think anyone ever likes whoever gets cast for Helen in any interpretation of these stories.
Great point.
You know, like Diane Kruger, I heard complaints about her whenever Troy came out. And I was like, you know what?
What do you want?
Yeah, like there's never going to be any pleasing anyone. There's just it's the beast of tackling Homer, you know? Like,
Yeah. Well, so far this has his highest rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 95%.
Wow. That's awesome. I will say, no matter what I feel, I always want his movies to just kill at the box office because I want more. I don't care.
Agreed.
Give me more.
Agreed. Just keep writing him blank checks, guys. Just keep doing it. He's got. So we don't want him to stop,
No. It's always going to be amazing. And it's so cool to see how big he's become. Like, some of us were really excited about him since, Batman Begins, or for me, Memento. And to see him go from this obscure direct-to-DVD filmmaker to the biggest in the world. God, that's so cool,
Yeah.
Nice. What are you going to recommend this week?
I thought that you recommended this last week or week before, whatever. But yeah, I'm going to recommend Widow's Bay. We were talking about it. It's on Apple TV. Apple's killing it lately, and I think we talked about this before the pod. I think it's because they've moved away from their stylized shooting. It used to be very like polished and clean and too well lit and stuff, and they've kind of like more gone less stylized and more like for the piece that they're making. Yeah. And I think that's done a whole lot just in that, but then they're also telling unique brand new stories, and Widow's Bay is a great example of that. It's hilarious and it's terrifying too. I think I watched one episode. It was late at night and I needed to go downstairs and get some water, and I did not want to do that. It just freaked me out. And then the acting is fantastic. It's just really well shot and thought out, really well written. So it's Widow's Bay.
It's so good. Yeah, that's funny. I prepared 2 recos just in case you took that one. And to me, it's like you take the setup of Jaws and then remove the shark and fill it with Stephen King like stuff.
Yeah. Oh, the Hag. Oh my gosh.
God, that was probably my favorite episode. My God.
Agreed.
Fuck. I'm going to recommend Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. Like,
nice.
If you've never seen that, like, that's 20 years old now. And so you may have missed it. If you're, a younger listener, you may have seen one of the other ones and being like, it's okay. Go watch that original. The original Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl is an excellent movie. Fantastic storytelling. It's fun. It's a tentpole movie. You feel the grandness of it, but there's still some really strong character work that's happening. Some really good twists and turns. I think it's just a genius adaptation of a theme park ride. Like, what? I highly recommend that. So go check that out if you haven't. And stay tuned for next week. We're going to take a look at Olivia Wilde's The Invite. So that's still playing in a lot of theaters. Go run out and take a viewing because we're going to talk about it next week. And don't forget, subscribe, drop us a review, leave us a note, something you want us to cover. And if you want to comment on this episode, you can do that at thepestlepodcast.com/theodyssey.
And our quote of the day is from Christopher Nolan. You've got to put everything into one movie and just try and make a great movie because you may not get this chance again. I'm curious when he said that, because he's such an underspoken guy. Like he's such a, like it doesn't seem like he takes anything for granted, you know, like he's like, all he lives for is making movies. And if he said this recently, that makes me love him even more, because dude, if anybody's going to always make movies for the rest of their life, and it's going to be you, everybody's going to keep writing you blank checks, bro. He doesn't have to put everything into one movie. No. And yet he still lives by that. Like, this could end at any moment. That's so cool. And he's right. Like, if we're, you know, even up and coming filmmakers, you know, you don't have a lot of chances. So.
Yeah. I think I'll double check the context that he's talking in. I want to say it was after he made Batman Begins. I want to say it was around that time, but regardless, I think your point absolutely stands. No matter what you're working on, you've got to put everything into it. And maybe even especially if you're at the beginning. Like, I was listening to a writer talk about authors who are like trying to show off their work, or screenwriters who are trying to show off their script. And they do this thing where it's like, oh yeah, but this is a trilogy, and man, this is all the setup, and it gets really good in book 2. And it's like, no, move it up to book 1. Move it up to the first 5 chapters, you know, move it up to the first chapter. Like, give your best shot. Don't save anything. Give it to us now. Because yeah, you don't know what you're going to be able to do next, if you'll be able to do anything next. And that's the challenge of being a writer or filmmaker, is you put everything you can into this one thing. And the challenge is, do it again. That's the fun stuff. Like, you think you've run out of ideas. That's when your best ideas start. And I just love that approach. Like, you've got to put everything into the one movie. Just try to make a great movie, because you may not get this chance again. This is it. This is all we get, man. And why not? Why not put everything you can into everything you can?
Couldn't agree more. Fantastic. Well, finally did it. The Odyssey. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. We're interested to see how you feel about the Odyssey. Honest depiction of what you see. It's really hard for me, because I love Nolan, and I don't want to say he does anything wrong ever, but you know. So I really appreciated your commentary there, Wes. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe, review us wherever you get your podcasts, and share us with a friend. It makes a huge difference, and we really appreciate it. If there's a film you'd like to see us talk about or pick apart, please let us know. Maybe one day we will cover it. Until next time, I'm Todd.
I'm Wes.
Go watch some movies. So good.
Dude, yeah, he's my favorite director. Like, it sucks to not just absolutely crush myself, falling in love and foaming at the mouth. Like, it's so frustrating to say anything remotely negative. Not that I was down on the whole thing. Obviously, there's stuff that I love, but it sucks because this is my guy. I love this guy.